Okay, second kind of podcast we don't hear in the shop since we moved to the new one. I'm very, very pleased to welcome Red Telephone to the sofa stroke chairs today. A bit about Red Telephone and our history with them if you want. Red Telephone were at Focus Wales a few years ago now, I think 3 years ago, I think it was. We had the pleasure of seeing them then. They came into the shop, great guys. And then we actually were down in Newport just for another event and happened to see they were on and went to see them in the pub. The pub, right? Is that correct? In Newport. Great gig, fantastic time, etc. So when we heard they were coming back up for this Focus Wales, they were very high on our list to get sat down today. So first of all, welcome gentlemen. Great to see you back in Wrexham. For those people who don't know Red Telephone, do you want to just introduce who you are and we'll start from there?
Yeah, I'm Declan, singer in the band.
I'm Kieran, I play guitar and a bit of keys as well in the band.
I'm Dom, I'm on bass.
I'm Luke and I'm the drummer.
And where's the brothers?
We're missing Toby, my brother.
There you go.
He's on the train.
So we are one short with Red Telephone.
We're brothers anyway.
Well, there we go, yeah, exactly. So first of all, Red Telephone, interesting name for a band. Well, why? What's the background behind it?
It was a struggle to find a band name, but I think we were initially thinking of the Hotline.
Okay.
We were into sort of dystopian aesthetics and that sort of thing, so like that infamous Hotline, and then there's also a song by Love called The Red Telephone.
Right.
So I think we just sort of figured like combine the two.
So how long have you been going now?
That's a good question.
About 6 years,
Yeah.
I think.
I was going to say too long, isn't it?
Yeah.
6 years.
Yeah, so we started in 2018.
Right.
And released a single then in 2018.
Yeah.
Which is probably a bit more in like the psych world.
Right.
So at the time we were very much into like Sid Barrett, Pink Floyd kind of off the wall psychedelia. And then we released a couple of singles then, and then kind of we ramped it up really from about 2020, which coincided with the lockdown.
Yeah.
And then from there we started making our first album, which is Hollowing Out.
Yeah.
But a lot of that was
Which is behind your left shoulder.
which is
We've just been listening to now.
Yeah.
Great album.
But then that kind of marked, I guess, a bit of a shift in our sound. Kind of retained some of the psychedelia stuff, but I think particularly Dak with lockdown had a lot of a bit of an obsession with certain synths. So that's kind of
Healthy obsession, I hope.
Yeah.
Very. Yeah.
So that's probably where we were like really kicked on from 2020 onwards. And
We scrapped the whole album before that.
Right.
So,
Oh, okay.
like, Hollow Night is the first one, but there's a lost telephone album.
Lost one.
Which had.
Is it ever going to be found, do you think?
We're gonna maybe print a handful and sell them for an inflated price on eBay down the line to fund.
Hide them in several secret locations.
Obviously, apart from seeing certain friends of the band, obviously.
Yeah, maybe. That's almost like buying a stock then. And just give them out to people and be like, hang on to this. And then in 30 years' time, you'll be absolutely minted.
How do you feel your band's changed or matured, or the music? Do you feel there's been a massive shift, or has it just been like organic, or how do you think it's gone?
It's felt organic to me, like, because it just comes off the back of what you're listening to at
Yeah,
one point. So when we started, I was obsessed with Sid Barrett, as Key mentioned.
Yeah.
So that drove the early part of the songwriting and the arrangements. And as Key said again, getting synths over lockdown and being locked in a room, that I was into that, and we like cinema, we like films like Blade Runner,
Right. Okay.
and Drive, and Scarface, like Moroder, those sort of composers. So that just naturally fed in because we're into those things. So I think that blended with the psychedelic element now.
Right. So I mean, aside from the band, then obviously films are a passion of yours as well.
Yeah.
Football, sports, anything as well, or just
big football fans. Yeah. So
from Newport.
Cardiff, we're from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but so follow like Wales football.
Yeah.
We were Cardiff City fans, but then we stopped going when they rebranded.
Well, the red.
Yeah, but that's another.
Yeah.
Podcast.
That's podcast. Just Key, like talking about that.
Talk about
Fill
that.
a podcast.
I could have said to many I'm a Leeds fan. So
right, okay.
I'm a Welsh fan as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
I've got Wales around for years when we were very, very bad. So I was in Croatia, in Ostrava when we drew out there. I was in Eindhoven when Vinnie Jones was captain and we lost 7-1.
Yeah, the
I've been through the
best ever game.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. 7-1 and he was man of the match.
Yeah.
Bonkers. Anyway, we digress. So different podcast. So Focus Wales. I mean, Focus Wales is obviously a fair distance for you to come up. You know, why'd you come here? What do you get out of Focus Wales?
We've played a couple of times before, as you mentioned, and it's always been, I guess it's a special event for us now, because it was one of our first gigs, maybe our second ever gig was at Focus Wales. And it's got a community feel to it.
Yeah.
We've met lots of people up here over the years. We've had opportunities off the back of it, so we played Tallinn Music Week, literally off the back of our first show here. And yeah, I feel like we just built long-term relationships. Well, I mean, I know we met you in the pub, but obviously we've been to your record store here before. So it's nice to come and play to people and then meet people, almost like have a drink together, and then come back the following year and catch up.
But it was quite interesting. Is Scott Goes was in yesterday, and you know him as well, and I think it was a couple of chats with Punch Love as well. So it's, as you say, that community is almost developed, regardless of where you're actually, I suppose, your main location is. It's quite interesting. I think Focus Wales does embed that.
Yeah, there's also the showcase element to it as well, where there's a lot of music industry. And particularly when you first get in, it seems like this kind of monolithic wall where you think, how am I ever going to, we don't know anyone, how are we ever going to approach anybody? But then I think Focus Wales got a really good balance. I think it helps being in Wrexham as well, where it's kind of quite like a down-to-earth place in the first place, and everyone comes here and just mingles. And then before you know it, you're having a pint with someone that runs something.
Can do something for you.
So it's got that element to it. It makes it all seem a lot less daunting and more accessible as well. So yeah, it's got a lot going for it.
I'm not going to break the kind of mold a bit. Drummer doesn't say anything. He needs to start saying something.
He's not allowed to. He's been banned from talking.
So, I mean, I will direct the question straight at you now. How do you get on? I mean, you obviously friends, brothers, etc. Is there any kind of tensions there or anything, or have you just always had that flow? I asked the drummer man because he's going to be a truthful answer.
Yeah, I'm new to the band, but I think it's such a democracy, and we're really good at being open and honest with each other and talking things through. I mean, the process that we've engaged in, because we're in the process of writing and recording a new album, and that's been amazing for me. I've been in quite a few different bands throughout my life, and this has been special in terms of everyone really has a voice, and that kind of melting pot of influences is really drawn from, which is great. Yeah, everyone's got the space to really.
You mentioned influences there. So what influences would you say this album is kind of being born from?
Anybody want to jump in on that?
Well, it's quite interesting. Like Luke said, melting pot of influences. So I think what Depp was alluding to before is very true. Like there's usually like an overarching thing where it's like a love of cinema or a soundtrack. But I think this album in particular, we did it quite organically, and a lot of it was I mean, like the majority of the songs there were things that Depp had brought in, and they were there as songs. But in terms of the arrangements, and as Luke alluded to, that there's this, he very nicely put it as like a big democracy with us. I think that's because we've all known each other for so long. And we haven't known Luke for that long, but he's come in and really become a part of that very quickly, which has been amazing. But there is those different influences that come in with when we're kind of finalising the arrangements. So like Dom, for example, is more quite into hip hop and things like that, which I wouldn't listen to as much. There's certain bands I'm into, maybe the others wouldn't listen to as much. Luke's into certain things that I wouldn't listen to as much. But I think we've just had this approach. I think particularly when you brought the songs in, I guess you kind of brought them in with more to add on to them, because we've all then been able to put our stamp on the songs. So you hear these with the new record now that we're doing. You'll probably hear a few more, I don't know, intriguing ideas and a few more.
Definitely.
I think it is. I think this album more than the previous one captures like a moment in time, because we've done it faster. We got in we went down to Cornwall to practice in the studio for a weekend and really hammer out the arrangements. So I think when you do it that way, like the following week we were in the studio recording.
So furious.
You've kind of got to make decisions fast. And in the past we spent too long, so the decision making process. When you don't have that pressure to make decisions, you can overthink it. But this time, I feel like it's captured what our tastes are over the last couple of months. Really so it is a melting pot,
So I suppose you wouldn't. I've listened to the album only today, obviously listened through. it's hard to put a genre on it. I mean, I think that's fair. As you said, it's melting pot. It's a mixture of a number of different things there. And I don't like labelling anyway, to be perfectly honest, but I think it's different, which I think is great. You know, you can get very samey bands these days, and you know, you can almost like go, well, that's a Kaiser Chiefs, that's a Arctic Monkeys. I can't see that with your album. I'm not just saying that because you're sat here, I just think it's a really, really different sound, which is great.
It's a challenge for us almost conversationally as well. If you're trying to talk about someone about your band, and it takes about half an hour to try and get across all different elements, and you can't just shortly, like briefly describe it. Which is obviously kind of a bit more liberating as well, that you don't feel confined to the genre. It would be nice just sort of a little one word.
You go in H to Z, you don't go anywhere else. Simple as that. So you were out last night, obviously we saw you out in Wrexham a little bit. Obviously taking it easy, 2 gigs today, which is great. Any bands you saw last night that you thought, wasn't expecting that, they were really, really good, or what did you see last night? What was the main attractions?
We saw Charmer Finches.
Oh yeah,
So good.
Amazing,
St Giles Church,
Okay.
which was really good. I knew a bit about them before, but I don't think you guys had seen them before.
No,
but there's CDs for sale from them, if you want to buy it.
Yeah, from Australia. They were great. That was a really beautiful performance. I saw World Cup as well, who I really enjoyed. They're kind of like a super furry sound, vibe to them. I don't know, anything else that you guys saw?
Caught a bit of Slate as well over in Poetry Church.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
So when you go out there,
Punch Love as well.
So when you go out there, I mean, you obviously look at the schedule, and me as like running a record shop and being a fan, etc. I'll look a bit of a mixture between what I think will be good for the shop from a local perspective, but also what I musically like. How do you choose what you're going to see? Because it must be almost like you've got loyalty to certain people you know as well, and you want to go and support them, but you also want to kind of look at other things too. Do you just, is democracy there, is it? Or is it just like you all go off your own separate ways?
I follow Key.
I can be quite organised.
You're the researcher, I think.
A little bit, yeah.
I suppose it's the beauty as well of look, certain bands playing not the shows across the weekend. You can even just say, oh, well, I'll catch them the second show and just end up seeing something you didn't expect to see or just walked into. And be totally surprised. So you have got a bit more flexibility.
We had that last. I went to see Green the Giant in the parish, and blew me away. It was tremendous, and it's weren't expecting it. Do you know what I mean? But it's always good to have that in that kind of way. So you mentioned another album coming, etc. What's the future hold then for Red Telephone? What's the next few years looking like? If you look that far ahead, I'll just ask the organiser.
He doesn't organise that. He organises the fun stuff, like you know, where we're going for food and like what show we're going to see. I mean, so obviously getting this album out into the world, which is going to happen pretty quickly because it's being mixed right now, and then first single will be out in July. Album's going to be out in October. That's an exclusive, actually. We've just released information.
Oh, fantastic.
Maybe. I don't know. We're allowed to, I guess. Like, no one's actually...
It's not live all day, an hour or so.
No, you can have that.
Fantastic.
You can air that to the world. But, so October, the album will be out. And then I think because we've done it fast and we almost started out from a live, I guess it's semi-live, this album, the way we recorded it. So we did most of the core tracks in a room together, and our producer tracked that, and then we did a couple of overdubs. So I think because we've done it that way, we're more ready to go and play them live than we were. There's more of like a natural progression from like putting the songs together to going out into the world. So I think ideally we'll play a lot of gigs, especially after the album's out. But I think this will be the best we've been live, because in the past we've had multiple drummers.
It's been really good before, it's just been, it's been really good.
But like it's the first time we've had a permanent drummer in the band. You know? So it came in 6 months ago. So I feel like we're better placed now.
Being called permanent, that's good. There's no right now. That's good to hear. That really is good. I mean, obviously, don't forget us. We love your music in here. We'll always support you. And you know, as soon as that album's released, please feel free to come back up. Host you here every single time. We've got no problem with it at all. So I think you're a fantastic band. Red Telephone, everybody, who basically are performing in Focus Wales. Obviously not from around this area, but if you get a chance to see them, you need to see them because the album's great. Live, even better. Really is even better. So thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Really appreciate it. You know you've got a couple of things to sign before you go. We had an agreement, right? We bought an album already. If you bought it signed, it would cost us more. So we bought it already. Now he's going to sign it.
That's good way of doing it. It would have cost you £200.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Nice one.
Cheers.
Cheers, man. Thanks, guys.